Hello and welcome to the next episode of Accountants Becoming Tech Providers. Today we're going to look at how you can actually get started using our Dynamics Angels program at Ingram Micro Cloud. I am joined once again by Rob Pope, the Global Channel Director at Dynamics Angels. So I'm going to let him take over now.
So hello everybody, thank you for your time. Welcome to this next episode around how accountant organizations can become more like tech providers and how you can really move into that technology sector. I think many of you, and just to put a timestamp on this session, we are mid-COVID, end of April 2020, a very strange time when organizations are being forced to operate from kitchen tables, and it's having a huge impact on how organizations are looking at the technology in their organizations, the state of that technology, but also the advice that they take from their trusted advisors, particularly their accountants. And we're seeing technology being woven into that conversation much more regularly as organizations are having to change and adapt to the changing conditions in the market. And just to kind of kick things off, and make sure you keep the sound turned up for this because it may well rock you back on your chairs. I'll just quick video and then I'll move on and start to talk around a program called Dynamics Angels that we've designed to help accounting organizations take those first steps into technology to understand its impact, be able to position it effectively to customers, and potentially then also generate revenue from it. And hopefully. Go into a little bit more about who we are, how to become an angel and what that's all about. And I think it's important to recognize that as an organization, I work for Cooper Carry IT. We have a program called Dynamics Angels. And a bit of background for you is that actually Cooper Carry IT is arguably the best reference point for the conversation we're having. Cooper Carry are a set of accountants, originally founded in 1850. And as you can see, some very charming and good-looking fellows we were all those years ago. And as an organization, we've adapted over time, still very grey, I think, as many accountants were in the 80s, but the business has changed dramatically in the last 15 years to an organization now that is one of the fastest growing accounting technology firms in the UK, the 8th best company to work for and the Sunday Times list in 2020, being also in that top 100 for the last 3 years, and really changing and shifting up into an organization that has pivoted into from being an accounting practice of a very traditional sense into a technology provider. The technology is unlocking opportunities and our ability to support and help our customers. And that technology, broadly speaking, was focusing on a platform called Dynamics NAV, as was, which we've been deploying and been successfully implementing, training, and helping organizations change their business processes and improve their business processes. I think when we started this in 2005, Sage was very much in its ascendancy at that point. That was the platform that many organizations chose. We chose Microsoft, and in effect then took that on and became in 2019 the World Partner of the Year for Dynamics 365 Business Central. And a lot of that is down to the fact that Microsoft has really ramped up, one, its ability to provide a incredibly powerful platform to SMBs, but also the cloud story has really changed. And I think that really kind of fundamentally shifts the whole kind of conversation as to why this is pertinent now, why this is relevant now for accounting organizations, particularly because as Cooper Perry IT and through the Dynamics Angels programs have definitely been one of the first movers, I think it's fair to say. But actually, we're now seeing that become more of the norm. And this is where we've seen the opportunity to not just drive our own business, but actually to help accountants themselves. And the Dynamics Angels program is really about helping accountants become technology providers. And rather than us trying to build out a huge organization of our own, to leverage our knowledge, to provide that as a service to accountants, to build our business in a slightly different way. And when we start to look at the why and how Microsoft positions to customers and to organizations, and I know in other sessions I've talked about this in more detail, Microsoft positions and is the only global hyperscale provider that can operate in what they call all the rooms of the house. So Microsoft has services delivered as cloud services that you'll all be familiar with for modern workplace. So Outlook, Teams, where I suspect many of you are living currently during this COVID outbreak. SharePoint, Power BI, all of those components that are designed as the modern workplace. Microsoft then has business applications. Dynamics 365 is the all-up branding, a bit like Office 365. It contains a suite of components that include things like CRM technology and, importantly for accountants, Business Central, that SMB-focused ERP platform. Microsoft also, as you can probably imagine, delivers applications and infrastructure. So Windows Server, but actually most of that is delivered as Azure nowadays, so delivered from the Microsoft Cloud Platform. And the kind of story of the day, data and AI, which I know is something that many accountants very much focus on, is that data story and being able to use the data within an organization to drive more sophisticated projects like artificial intelligence, machine learning, and to use that data effectively to guide your customers' businesses. But also that's a key component of the Microsoft platform, again, delivered from Azure. When we start to talk about how Microsoft now addresses organizations, and again, there was something I addressed in one of the earlier sessions, the earlier episodes of our series, is how Microsoft talks to customers and also how accountants actually talk to them, but perhaps use slightly different language. It's about how do those organizations optimize their operations, make them more efficient? How do they change their business models around to adapt to the changing circumstances and opportunities that are in the market today? How do they help their employees and empower their employees and get those employees using technology and having access to the data and tooling that they need to do? And fundamentally also, how does that organization engage their customers? How do they ensure that they get the right bills out at the right time and that they collect their cash and that they try and sell more to more people? And that's something that Microsoft has and arguably is the only provider in the world that can have that conversation on all of those rooms, the only provider that has a platform that's fully integrated. And one of the key considerations with regards to the Dynamics Angels program is not just how you address the finance element, particularly of an organization, how you help them with that, but actually how that rolls into now things like security and governance and compliance. How do you ensure that your customers' data is also protected? And that's a key foundation of everything that Microsoft does. And the fact that the reason why the Business Central platform is so tightly plugged in and knitted into that all-up global hyperscale cloud platform infrastructure, something that all your customers, as accountants, all your customers will use Active Directory. They will use some of the Microsoft technology already to secure their businesses. And that then puts Business Central within that centralized, secure wrapper, enabling you to protect them. Now, all that sounds probably to many of you really quite techy. But I think one of the things that we also see with the Dynamics Angels program is where, as an organization, we all talk about data being the new oil, particularly when you as accountants are looking to guide and advise organizations on their next moves. That conversation has to be about data. It's also where, as I mentioned earlier, where AI and machine learning come into play. The real kind of halo services that drive high-value consultancy, high-value projects for yourselves, high-value impact for your customers. But broadly speaking, when we start to talk about those conversations, you have to have access to that data. You have to have that data in a platform that gives you the correct data, because Data drives those machine learning, those AI projects, and those data projects, that ability to do the reporting. If you don't have that platform in the right place, if you don't have access to the right oil, for want of a better word, then those projects all fall on stony ground very quickly. And this is where Business Central comes in, because Business Central and Dynamics 365 and Business Central is the best source of that oil. It's Microsoft's SMB focused finance solution. Think of it as being in the kind of similar size structure to things like Sage 50, but with the ability to go onwards and upwards with no real impact on the sophistication that we can extend to by virtue of the fact that we can go into and have customers who have hundreds of users using Business Central. So that scale allows you to go from 1 to hundreds rather than having to go through a traditional approach of having one solution and then upgrading to a next and then taking to another one and taking to another one. You stay on the same place and unlock the functionality. Some of the key things with it is, from a Business Central perspective, it's cloud, it's evergreen. There is no version, there is no need to do upgrades in the traditional sense. There's no version lock where you stay on one version for a period of time and in effect fall behind. And the key parts of it is it's heavily embedded within Office 365, within Outlook. In the other sessions, I talked through some of the AI integration or AI componentry that's part of Business Central that allows you to do incredibly sophisticated things in a very simple fashion. It gives access to hugely powerful componentry that allows an organization to do things like MRP, for example, without all the setup. Machine learning does all that work in the background and starts to predict and forecast and assess. It allows you to automatically process orders very quickly using AI and cognitive services to read an email, interpret what your customers, what the end customer would like to do, and guiding that user and filling in some of that paperwork, for want of a better word, all within Outlook, keeping that user somewhere that they're familiar with and helping massively to improve the way that organization operates and how efficient and effective they can be, using AI as something that sits in the background, but also using a modern platform that's paid for on a per user per month basis. So something that's very easy to get into, rather than having to have a big upfront cost. But also, obviously, then the rest of the Microsoft platform works around it. So Power BI, particularly of relevance to you, and obviously you can probably well imagine very tight integration into other tools like Excel. So how do you move into that technology? How do you move into being able to provide that kind of technology in a simple way? Because it's quite daunting for many accounting firms to move from a traditional sense and being able to say, well, actually, no, we understand that technology now. We can talk to our customers about it and potentially even build our own digital practice. And we see a lot of accountant firms starting to take those steps by recruiting people into their organization with a technology background who can help build that digital advisory service. And the key principle behind Dynamics Angels is for us to help you on that journey. Now, we're not a typical Dynamics NAV partner, or for that matter, I don't think there's anybody similar to us in any of the ecosystems. So in Sage ecosystem or NetSuite ecosystem, the model we're taking is very different and counterintuitive to many of those traditional partners. For many of those partners, it was all about day rate, and actually possibly very similar to many of you to some extent, that actually the more days you can deliver, the better. Now, that obviously in the traditional model helps, but actually in this model and the way the technology is led, we don't want to go down that route. No complex projects. We know far too many organizations who have invested in ERP finance solutions in the past. They've become complicated and even complicated by the partner delivering them, because obviously that's in effect in their interest to sell more days if at all possible. That's not what we're about. We deliver simple projects. We use packs, we use fixed price, fixed outcome based solutions. But more importantly, we show you how to do it. And I think that's the key part here, that you have an option of a journey with regards to how you can help deliver those fixed price, fixed outcome solutions, delivered very quickly, delivered against best practice. After all, we are an accountant firm in the background. So the way that we deliver this is designed to work alongside the kind of work that you as an accounting organization want to do. And that comes back to this whole purpose. It's making Dynamics accessible. It's making Microsoft technology accessible to you as accountants so that you can position it, so that you can sell it if you wish. So at least you have a safe pair of hands that you can direct people to, where you know that they can have a an experience of Microsoft technology which is designed to work around them rather than to work around a partner trying to sell more days and make the project more complex. And I think when we start to think about this, there's always this kind of conversation: is there the elephant in the room? And that elephant is, who's the customer? And I think it's important to address this. The customer, the end customer, is yours. There are many options with regards to how you take the revenue, how it works. Ingram are here to help you along that journey as well. But fundamentally, we don't take your customer. There is no handoff of the customer. It is your customer. And we are, in effect, delivering some of the services on your behalf and helping you with that journey. So when we start to kind of drill into it a little bit more, some of the things, and I realize this is taking you into perhaps an area where technology providers understand the narrative a little bit better. What we see is a number of areas where, if you want to start to position Dynamics to your customers, you want to have Microsoft Story available to your customers, there's a number of options. The first is partnering, and I'll just unpick those terms. So when a customer is buying a Dynamics platform, and actually this is the same as it is with other type of platforms, be it Sage or NetSuite or anything else, they have a license and some professional services, PS, and some support. And that's the kind of three key components that need to be delivered. Now, the license in Microsoft terminology is delivered under a platform called CSP, something that Ingram can help you with, which is how that license gets transacted. And the professional services that we deliver are fixed price, fixed outcome packs. And part of the next session of this series will be to kind of give you a bit more explanation as to how we do that, how we operate it, but how easily, almost like a Chinese menu style, you and your customers can very quickly define that actually they need, for example, the stock pack, or they need the sales pack, or the sales order processing pack, and they just stack those packs up as the professional services delivery point. And then there's the support, the how do I do this, how do I fix this, I've lost my password. And these are the kind of three key components that need to be delivered to your end customer. And we deliver all of those, and we can do that under a partnering model where, in effect, you hand that off to us as a Dynamics Angels. But the second part of the journey really is actually helping you build your own practice. Now, that for many organizations is a very scary thought. It means a big investment in time and people and experience to be able to jump into that. And actually, particularly things like support is quite a difficult thing to set up from the ground upwards. It's not something that you can instantly have a support desk that can help your customers, because the experience that you need to be able to do that is so wide and varied. And that's where Dynamics Angels comes into play. Dynamics Angels program is to help you build your practice. So we've built the Dynamics Angels program on the basis that rather than us doing all of the work and doing all of the partnering and delivering to all the customers, we will show you how to do it. We will let you use some of our tooling and our methodology. We will give you access to our packs, and you can then deliver the packs yourselves under our model using the templating, using our tooling, using our experience. And we can provide the support in the background, the support to you, or actually directly to your end customers if you want us to. And that changes the model. You can start to build your own revenue stream. You start to build your own experience. You still bill the license. It's still your customer. It stays your customer. As you imagine, you've got an even bigger foothold in that customer then. And we, as Dynamics Angels program, also provide a quality control mechanism. We have the ability to check your homework, for want of a better word, and also give your customer the confidence that they have got a solution that works and is correct and will stand the test of time as they use that platform over future months. So just to kind of wrap up around that, and to give you kind of one last piece, we've got a huge amount of experience around this. And the Dynamics Angels program has come from a worldwide expertise that's been recognized by Microsoft. We operate in this fixed price, fixed module solution pack, which gives us a very quick and easy way of deploying. And it's something that rather than us, as I said, trying to build for ourselves, we're handing off to partners like you through the Dynamics Angels program. And also, we are one of you. We understand your organizations. We're accountants ourselves. And that's where our background has taken us to build this program to help you move into this world, to help you help your customers understand technology, be able to leverage it, and be able to have a conversation with those customers around digital transformation and how they can adapt to it and how they can use it to improve their organizations. I just thought I'd finish with just one more video, just to give you an idea of the kind of approach that we take, and also just to give you a little bit of a look and see. So. So thank you very much for your time on this session. Hopefully that gives you an idea of the kind of way that we position the Dynamics Angels and the kind of solutions that you could deliver under the program. The kind of solutions that we see being replaced regularly by Business Central and through the Dynamics Angels program for organizations that have grown out of Xero, for example, that have used and had Sage 50 or Intact and for whatever reason have fallen out of love with Sage, or maybe not, it doesn't have the functionality that they need at the more sophisticated ends. And also things like QuickBooks. This positioning is something that we see many of you, and I understand many accountants out there, many of you have positioned Xero. Xero has obviously taken the mantle from Sage, as was historically the key platform in that space. Xero's sort of taken some of that crown, but also for many organizations, they've outgrown Xero. They're too big, they're getting more sophisticated, they have a need to move into a single platform rather than maybe something like Xero with lots and lots of additional ISV solutions tacked on the side. But also that ability to have a fully integrated solution, something that's part of their wider network that allows them to leverage their investment in Office 365 and the other Microsoft technologies, and fundamentally allows them to run an integrated solution in the cloud where they can be confident about the governance and security and compliance that wraps around that solution. So thank you very much again, and thank you for attending and listening. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to speak to you. And I'll hand back to Matthew now and look forward to seeing you on future episodes. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Rob. That's absolutely perfect. So yeah, if you would like to get in touch, feel free to contact myself. You have my email address there, matthew.barby@ingrammicro.com. And we, working with Dynamics Angels and that program, we can help you also become tech providers and add incredible value to your customers. Thank you very much. And thank you very much, Rob.
Thank you.